Okay, good evening, AMI fans. Welcome to just one more episode of the Dirty Old Podcast. We have Danny Shepherd. How are we doing, Danny?
Good. Thanks.
And Anthony Rouse. How are we doing, lad?
Yes. Big up your chest, Salford fans.
And myself, Coops. We've got no Gav today, which, look, could be a good thing or a bad thing. I'll let everybody.
Wait, there's no background to ogle at, is there, when Gav's not on?
We're actually starting on time for a change.
Okay.
Waiting half an hour for Gav to start out his background. But people will have to let us know if they miss Gav or not. I'm sure you'll welcome your comments.
I love him.
Topsy-turvy month, chaps. I think I remember. Obviously, last episode was 2 weeks ago, and the time before that was kind of the beginning of the month, and we was looking at the 6 games ahead. We was kind of looking at what points, what do we need. I think Rousey. I can't remember all, but I think you kind of came up with about 10 points.
I said about 10 was the benchmark. I mean I said that was a minimum, I think, but it would kind of be one that I think that the lads could get away with. But yeah, I think it was 10 or 11 points. Can't remember what anybody else's predictions was. But Gavin's was probably all out wins, 4-0 wins or something.
I think I had 12 points, and yeah, it's could have been further away from it, to be fair. Danny, I can't remember what you put, to be honest. I think you was kind of going and making no predictions and sitting on the fence a bit.
Sit on the fence.
Have you noticed that's what I tend to do?
Don't nail your colours to the mast, mate.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll kind of review it overall very briefly, and then we'll just obviously recap the kind of last 3 games, because I know that obviously last episode we looked at the first 3 games of Feb. Now we can look at the last 3 games of Feb, and it's pretty much the same. It's kind of been, first half was we got 4 points, 1 win, 1 loss, 1 draw. Second half of February was the same. So, and again, I think we said if we can remain in the playoffs at the end of each month and start chalking off the months off, we're doing all right. But I just looked at the table just before we came on, and obviously we got I think, is it Mansfield is it Mansfield or Bradford that's got 2 games now? Bradford, I think.
Yeah, both of them, both Mansfield and Bradford, above and below us, have got 2 games in hand. I think we're on 34. Are they there on 32?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's is that points or games played? Actually, I just cast my eye over it quickly. But anyway, they've got 2 games in hand on us, definitely. So yeah, it's we're there by the skin of our teeth at the minute, aren't we?
Can I just put one thing into the mix on just before we kind of go any further on this? Because I'm interested. Do you feel any different in terms of your overall happiness level the second half of the month as to the first? Slight spoiler, but did you feel yes or no? I suppose.
I don't know. I won't say. I don't know. It's happy. It's difficult to gauge happiness level, because the performances for me, as we get into them, they haven't been poor. I'd say that they're frustrating. We always seem to play well or and struggle to get the result. Like I said, as we'll get into with some of these reviews over the second lot of games, but I don't know. I'm happy with. I see things. I see improvements. I'll get into it again a little bit more. I like the pace of the attacks now, it seems to be picking up, and we're dribbling and attacking players really well, getting the ball into the box quite a lot more, which I'm happy with. But from a defensive point of view, I don't know. I feel a bit more threatened in games. So I don't know. I don't know where to gauge me feeling at the minute. I'd say I'm not happy. I'm not sad. I'm frustrated. That's how I'd probably put it at the minute.
Okay.
I think it's fairly difficult because when the season begins, you kind of you don't know what you're going to expect. You might watch a few pre-seasons, but you take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
You're just happy that football's back. So you kind of automatically happy. I think every football fan up and down the country, first day of football, everybody's in good spirits. And a couple of bad results, and the world hasn't ended. You can still turn it around. There's plenty of points to play for. So I think the first half, I think once you get to 1st of December, you're kind of going. It's kind of that benchmark is where we've got a lot of games to play in December. When we get to sort of like 5 o'clock, 5:30 on New Year's Day, we've seen all December. We've played 7 or 8 games in that month. Then when you get to the end of New Year's Day, you kind of go, this is where we are, and you've got a good gauge of what the second half of the season you need to do. Are you in the playoffs? Are you outside the playoffs? Are you challenging top 3? Are you fighting relegation? And then I think now where we are, because we know the games are getting shorter and shorter, it's almost becoming not panicky. I think it's becoming more pressurized, and I think that's for fans. I'm sure the owners are feeling it. I'm sure the players are feeling it. I'm sure the coaching staff are feeling it. Albeit, I know they never let on. It is, we know time's ticking, and we know we've got to keep the momentum going. But like Rousey was saying, I think we're playing. I actually generally think we are playing better in the first 2 months of this year. I actually think we're playing better than we've been playing say like October, November, December. Without going back and looking at the results, my gut feelings telling me that we're playing better football. We've got players back from injury now. That's given us a few more options. I think we've been unlucky in some of the games, and if we look at the Mansfield game in isolation, we'll touch on it properly. Look, that wasn't a fluky win. That was kind of a well-deserved, and that is your pure polished performance, and that is what we can do. But you ain't going to get that every game. You're not going to do that. It's impossible to play that level. I'm not taking anything away from our boys. Without watching the full game, I don't know how good or on par Mansfield were, but take nothing away. You play the team that you're playing. They've got injuries, but we've all had injuries. We've had our struggles throughout the season. So I think it's now is the start, and when we get to Saturday, and we'll go through some of the games in March, I think this is where it starts now, and I think this is where it really starts to heat up. And I think there's going to be a lot of. I can see a lot of frustration and happiness ahead, and I hope by the end of the regular season we're in the playoffs. But we'll have to wait and see. I think it's too close to make a prediction. Let's go back to Swindon game then, Rouse. So we'll if you can take us through that. It was a 2-1 home defeat against Swindon. I know it's a couple of weeks and you've had a few sleeps since then, but what can you remember from the game, mate?
It definitely is. I do remember it. It was, again, I said it earlier, it was frustrating to say the least. We didn't, for me, we didn't attack them like we can do, being at home. We didn't press the ball as well as I know we can do. I think we'd spoke about Neil Wood mentioning the peninsula to be some kind of fortress that was being built, and all of a sudden Swindon turn up, and I think if Gavin was in the pod, he would say something like wanted it more than us. That was a big thing for me. I think they wanted to win every tackle. They were up for the fight a lot more. They were attacking us on all fronts, and we kind of got caught cold. They kind of stunned us a little bit at home. Not taking anything away from Swindon. I think they're a very, very good side, but I don't know. I just felt we went into that feeling a little bit cocky, if you will. I think the way we started the game, we were stroking it about, inviting pressure, and again, we've said that before. When that tends to happen, we tend to get punished, and that was the case for me. I think we stood off them. We give them far too much respect. I think they came onto us with, no, you're not turning us over. We don't care who's at home. We're going to come and attack you. That's what they did, and they, like I said, I think they stunned us. They caught us cold. I mean, I don't know, Danny, what was your thoughts on it? Like I said, I genuinely felt that we walked into that a bit blasé, a bit cocky, if you will. I'm not too sure, just the fact that they were in bad form.
Well, it's interesting because Was that the game where Watt scored the own goal?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Because that particularly caught my eye. And I put in my post on the message board that we had 7 players ahead of the ball, and we were really struggling to get back, and that's why Watt was sliding on his arse, and it went in. So to me, the only thing I'll disagree with on that, Rousey, is just basically I think it was actually our best pressing performance. We weren't great. I think we committed more players to the press in that game than any time in 2023. We might not have shut them down as a proper pressing team couldn't, because we're probably not used to it. But I think we tried to press higher in that game than I'd seen since some time in our good run early in the season. So that's my take.
Well, I kind of say, yeah, you're possibly right to the point where we got the early goal. Watson scored the early goal, but I don't know. I mean, and it'll probably become a pattern as we review more of these games. But as February had progressed, we tend to do that, get an early goal, or I think I've mentioned previously, go a goal down for us to kick into gear a little bit. But that, like I said, for me, I've noticed a massive pattern where I won't say we're giving teams too much respect. I know I mentioned it then earlier. I don't know what the tactic is, but we seem to be so standoffish from players. Like we're not pressing it quickly enough. But I think when we do it and we snap into tackles, and I seen a lot of that last night against Barrow, we were trying to win the ball back as quickly as possible. I don't want to jump into a review of another game, but just to compare that to the Swindon game, it was chalk and cheese. I just felt we were a lot standoffish for some reason, and I don't know whether it is a tactic or not, but it's something that doesn't work. I think when we do that, we allow any team, whether it's someone as good as Swindon, I know, like I said, that they was in bad form up to that point, or a team that's near the like Colchester, for instance, struggling in the lower parts of the table. Again, we stood off them and we got punished again. So I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it is a tactic. Like I am probably going to contradict myself in a little bit to say, yeah, you're probably right. In an attacking sense, we do seem a bit better. We seem a bit quicker. But for me, yeah, I think the theme is there, certainly from that game, is we give teams too much respect, and that Swindon one was evident for me. As soon as they got that equaliser, I never felt like we were gonna win that game. I felt it was going to be a draw, or they were gonna go on and score another one. And unfortunately, Watt put it in the back of his own net.
I mean, I've got some. I was going to ask a question, but just while you mentioned Watt there, I mean, I remember just before they scored, and I remember it clear as day, because I had a feeling it just put us under pressure straight away. What was tracking the guy? I'm sure it was the guy. Go back on the highlights. I'm pretty certain the guy who actually scored in the end. What was tracking him on the center of the halfway line.
Yeah,
and he's running towards the dugouts. The ball gets played out right in front to the dugouts. What goes to the ball when he doesn't need to, leaves the man, and then he's open, and then he's backtracking, and he knows he's lost his man, and that's why he's steaming, and that's why he's going back to, he's sort of running towards his own goal, which then obviously the ball comes across, and he's going the wrong way towards the goal. Look, in all honesty, look, for the little thing that I'm trying to pick out on Watt, I mean, I was going to mention this later, but just while we mention Watt, I don't actually think we need to do who the player of the season is at the end of the season. For me, my mind's made up, and I don't think anybody's coming close to Watt this season. Even if Watt now goes on a cold patch, genuinely think we've never had anybody sort of in a player in League Two where the top in the assist charts, and not just top of the assist charts. It's just we're completely different when Watt's not in the team. And
Martin, I just wanted to ask, how much do you think he's worth? How much money do you think he potentially is worth to a team?
I
think he's worth $1 million.
It's difficult in League Two because we've probably set the precedent for that, haven't we?
I think when you asked the question, the figure that came straight in my head, and I was trying to process it before I said it was £1 million. I don't know whether I don't think you go stupid and go more than that. But most certainly £500,000. I think I wouldn't bother for us as a club where I'm not trying to sound like a complete, you know what. We don't necessarily need the money. I know there's financial fair play. I know, you can spend what you bring in. So, if you sold him for £500,000, does that allow you to buy £250,000 players that strengthens your team? I get all that, but for me, I would, for his age and where we are at the moment in terms of League Two, we don't know if we're going to get out. I would certainly be looking at building a team around him for now. If we go up the leagues and he finds his level and he doesn't quite hit it, but I think there's more in the tank for what I think easily he could play League One easily. And do you know what? It's hard to say right now, but look at Asante. In the Championship, West Brom fighting for a playoff. No saying that he might not be playing Premier League football and whether Asante gets a chance there, but he might play Championship football. But we'll have to wait and see. I hope we keep hold of him. Two other things just before we move on for Swindon. Obviously, Mallon made his debut, but his competitive debut for Salford. Yeah. And actually, for the time that he played, as soon as he came, I actually thought he was our best player on the pitch.
No, I liked what I've seen from him. But I would agree with that when he come on.
He was lively.
He did look very good.
The balls he was playing, I'm thinking, we're there thinking he's just getting his handicap down on the golf course, and actually, he's been working. So
to be fair to him, he played well.
We've played him in. I don't know if he played. I forgive me, he might have played, but I know he came on against Mansfield. I'm not too sure against Barrow. I'm not too sure about that. Swindon, though, just to kind of finalise that off, because the last two games were away from home. Do you think our home pitch is to our disadvantage?
I think it has been for a number of seasons. I think we've mentioned that it is. We've said it, not even in podcasts, just in general discussion when we're talking. Our pitch is too small. It's not the best playing surface. I think we actually struggle on it as a team and don't know how to utilise that small pitch. And I wouldn't say it's a benefit to visiting teams. I just don't think we like it. I don't think we can play on it. It always seems to be. We used to say hoofball, but you don't really have to lever it to get it into the other half. It's like I said, it's so boxed in our pitch. It's unreal. But yeah, I think it is a disadvantage to us because when we go away from home, we seem to always perform better on bigger, better pitches.
Absolutely. I mean, I was nodding like an idiot just when you said that, Martin. So I'm totally with you. I've been looking on the message boards for other teams for Mansfield and for Barrow recently, and they know that about our pitch. They know what a bit of a wreck it is. At times how it gets ripped up, and they know after watching us, that doesn't suit how we want to play. So class of 92, etc. Well, they're responsible for the upkeep of all that. They're responsible for the investment in all that, or the ownership group are. So it's on them.
I wonder whether. Don't get me wrong. End of the season, it's ripped up. It's reseeded. It's all the biz, all that goes on into a new pitch for the beginning of the season. But I think that's just a generalised kind of. I'm not saying basic level, but it's your just doing what we need to do to put a nice new pitch on there. But unfortunately, it's not a pitch is made to last the season. Look, we can talk about the weather. Everybody's had bad weather, and it just seems like go to Barrow. I mean, if it rains in Manchester, it definitely rains in Barrow. And things like that, it wasn't long ago where Barrow was underwater. Years gone by, and even then, it's probably a better pitch than what ours is. It just seems, like you say, there's two things here: the pitch quality and the pitch size. And I think when we go to teams like Mansfield there, and like Barrow's a lovely wide pitch to play on. the distance between, when they was playing it at the back, they seemed like they was miles away, but which was good. It means they had space, whereas it looks like they're a little bit on top of each other.
They're on top of each other at home. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
But yeah, it is what it is. We took the L against Swindon, and then good to see the boys came back, bounced back down at Mansfield, which I'm sure. One thing I am pleased about for the loyal travelling fans, that was a result, a performance that there's probably just waiting for. I mean,
it's one that we've been craving for a bit. That type of away performance. We'd not seen that for a while anyway.
Yeah, so there was a couple of changes, Danny. 5 goals for us. Talk us through the game, Danny. I know you probably got a bit to say on this game here, so talk to us.
Mansfield, to me, I think again, not even talking about my contributions, but looking at what other fans had put on the message board, it was kind of, they couldn't quite believe it. It was that good. And it's interesting that even after the next game, they're kind of looking back at Mansfield as if, oh well, it's a flash in the pan. It's something we can't do every week, but we're not going to score 5 every week. But for me, the most interesting thing is literally we just used our amazingly fast wingers, if you can call them wingers, wide men, people playing on the flank, touchline, whatever. Barry and Bolton, they won the game because all we had to do was just because Mansfield were playing the wing backs in a 3-5-2 fairly high, so we were playing against the back 3. All we had to do, launch a ball over the top down the wide channel. Bolton was in, Barry was in, and that's how we took them apart. And again, looking at the Mansfield message board, I think on Bolton's side they were upset, but they understood that the player they had against Bolton was notoriously slow. So that's why Bolton had probably the best game I've seen him since, I think, Newport County away maybe last year. I think he maybe scored 2 goals. He was amazing. So I think the formation had a little bit to do with it. That we just picked him apart because for whatever reason Nigel Clough didn't change it. He didn't change the formation much. So we just kept on playing the same way. Matthew Lund, again, I was stunned that he hadn't played a full match. He hadn't started a match since November. Before that, I believe. I've done my research for this one. So you're looking mid-November when he was last playing. So he was brought in from the cold, and I'd just forgotten about him. A bit like when we forgot about Conor McElhenney when he got injured. It's just like, well, how good is he? I'm not quite sure. Do we want to keep him? Do we not? But I forgot he's a link-up player. He's a brilliant link-up player. You link up him with Hendry, and you've got something. And the great thing that I noticed, because I think Lund scored twice in the Mansfield game, he was always arriving late, timing his run, a nice experienced player, timing his run late into the box. And that's what he's perfect at. There's a few things he's not incredible at. He's quite lightweight on the ball. So if teams are going to start pushing us around and bullying us, then that's not the player you want. But I think I would include Barrow in this. The Mansfield game, we looked composed. We looked like we were allowed time on the because Rousey was saying before that we give teams a lot of respect. I thought Mansfield gave us a lot of respect.
Yeah, I was gonna jump in with that. I actually thought like it was role reverse. I think they went into that game like we did. Maybe the Swindon game. We're at home. We're on a good run. And we kind of did to them what teams tend to do to us a little bit. So I would absolutely agree with that, Danny.
Yeah, no, roll with it. Again, that's basically my thoughts. That I like the fact we, whether I want to drop Smith for the rest of the season, maybe Gav would be happy with that. But I don't want to do that. But I do like the fact that we had 2 good link-up players, Lund and Hendry. We played it on the floor. We played to the weakness where the players weren't in the wing-back areas, played over them, took them apart. And Lund did, one thing I've said before is how good do our fringe players look when they come in off the bench after a long spell out? Very good. You know, like, I mean, he's kept himself in good fitness. He's not disengaged. So there's been things on the message board where people are saying that it's an unhappy camp. I don't think it is. I think players come in after not playing for a few weeks or a few months in Lund's case, and they're firing. And I think the pitch was a nice pitch and it helped us.
Yeah, I think you. I mean, one thing you said about Lund there about timing his runs, kind of two different goals he kind of scored where, you know, he's managed to get himself in a position where he can get on the end of a cross at the near post, and then his other one where, like you say there, where Hendry's got himself into the box, he's put it out to Bolton, I think it was, and then Bolton's hit it straight across to him, and you know, I mean that. It looks so simple that goal. That, you know, it's not gone in top corner. It's not hit the crossbar and gone in like at these worldies. But that technique just to sort of just really keep the pace on the ball. It's coming in. You put it and you pop it back the other way and put a little bit of bend on it. He's not had to smash it. He's just side footed it, put a little bit of bend on it, and it's you know, bottom corner. I think what was impressive also there, you know, we talked about Watt beforehand. I know it seems like I'm always banging the Watt drum, but you know, again 3 assists. You know, I'm sure if he wasn't there on that day, I think somebody else probably would have got the assist. But take nothing away from him on that. But it was interesting again.
What you just quicken on that one as well, Martin. What you did start to see, I think, from the Mansfield game, and I hope that you'll see it coming into the March fixtures, is, like I said earlier, the front four are connecting. You're starting to see Louis Barry come into his own. I think now from that game, he's driving at people with pace, dribbling really, really well. That followed on into the Barrow game as well. I just think, I think those types of players, Mallon when he comes on, Louis Barry, Watt, McElhaney when he's playing, when they're on song, they seem to help Hendry as well. You know, when we spoke earlier about Hendry's intelligence, being at speed and picking out a pass and being really skillful in that sense, better than his actual attacking. I think that helps him, and hopefully that we'll see the fruits of that in March, because looking at those March fixtures, they're tough to say the least, aren't they? But yeah, I wanted to just add to that, because I think that all those players clicking and gelling and connecting, I think you're right. I don't think it's an unhappy camp at the minute. I don't think we're playing bad. Like I said earlier, it's just frustrating that from that Mansfield game, we then didn't kick on and have another. I know we can't have dominant performances every week, but results-wise, just didn't kick on, do you know what I mean? And build a bit of confidence going into, like I said, what's going to be a tough March, I think.
I mean, just picking up on what Danny said there about, you know, he hopes we don't just kind of forget Smith and power him to one side. I think to merge 2 points here, merge what Danny said and what Gav said a few weeks ago, more than a few weeks ago now, where he said it was time for a change. I think it's now's probably the right time. I think, you know, Hendry's come in, and when he has come in for the last couple of games now, he is being involved. He's being useful. He's picked up on a goal. He's helping out with the play. He's you know, puts the ball into Bolton for Bolton to play into Lund. He's linking up really well. And I think you've got to keep playing players while they're playing good. That's why I didn't want Smith to be dropped, because you're talking about at the time where he got 5 goals in 6 games. And for me, you just don't take a player out like that, certainly a striker who's in form. But I think as it stands right now, keep Hendrick. If that flows there in the way that we're playing, and certainly where you have got now Barry, Bolton, very quick flair players, they're going to need somebody to keep up on the front line. And Smith isn't that type of person. But I think with the games coming up in March, I think there's going to be a time where we're going to need Smith. And we'll go into that a little bit more detail. But there was some fantastic comments, you know, from people on you know, Mansfield fans. As much for all the stick that we get, they kind of said that was probably the best team. Some said it was the best team they've seen this season.
Yeah.
Some said it was the best team they've seen in the last few years. You know, Clough, he was saying how, you know, the way that they was playing, The passage of play was just like championship level. And it's good to hear because, and I'm sure Wood takes credit from that. He'll take some from that. He'll might take it with a pinch of salt, but it's got to be nice to hear from another experienced manager when he knows he's been out tactically. He's been tactically sort of battered, if you like. There was another point I was going to make. I think Puffy, he made remarks to our pitch as well. So I think everybody's aware of our pitch. So apart from our owners, they obviously see it's okay. Sorry, Gary. Sorry, Nick. Yeah, but I wanted to one thing. I don't know whether to mention this now. Well, I bumped into a friend of mine, Les. He I think it was not last year, the year before. He was part of our recruitment team. I won't go into too many details because there's some conversation we have that I'm not going to put out on here. But interesting conversation I had. I saw him in the gym a couple of days before the Swindon game. And was having a little dip in the spa and everything like that, and got talking. And he was saying, because obviously Louis Barry was at Swindon last season, and the one thing I picked up, one thing I always do, like most fans, when we get a new player in, you're on YouTube, there's a nice highlights reel, and this player looks like Messi. You go, oh, what a belter. But I kind of looked at, more interestingly, I wanted to see if he played in the games against us last season and how did he perform against us, etc. But one thing I noticed is he was playing on the left. Now, you go back to the first two, I think it was just the first two games, maybe three before we changed it. Where did he play? He was playing in Luke Bolton's role on the right, and he just looked lost. And I was talking to people at Simon, and they're going, who is this guy? I've never heard of him. I said, well, I've not either. He's supposed to be really good. And they would say, no, it's not for me. As soon as you move him to the left, and when I speak to Les, he's like, but he plays on the left. That's his position. That's where you get the best out of him. As soon as we move him to the left, Mansfield, Barrow, one of the best players on the pitch.
Yeah.
Can he shoot though?
Well, look, he can drive into that box as many times as he wants and gets trips all day long for me.
I genuinely thought as well last night he probably would have put that in the net if he wouldn't have got tripped for the penalty. He was clean through and he got tucked right out. So yeah, I'm going to go against you, Dad, and go, yeah, he can finish.
No bother.
Yeah, I mean that puts us, that sort of merges us into the Barrow game naturally. And I think, like I say, Barry had a good game. Every time he picks on the ball, he's kind of looking at doing one thing in it. Yeah. That's drive. It's driving on the diag into the box, and that's where obviously the penalty came from. There's three plays that he was trying to commit, and obviously sent one guy for a hot dog. And to be fair, it was very quick feet because he kind of shifted the ball towards the defender. It was a bit like, what they call elastico, like a flip-flap, where he kind of just pushed it and then flicked it back left, and he just committed the defender. And obviously, what a finish by Watson for the penalty, which, don't get me wrong, they look brilliant when they come off the underside of the bar, but a bit too close, that Watto.
Yeah,
just
I'm not going to lie. I stood there and I thought, that's cannoned off the bar and come out. I was glad to see it, the net ripple anyway, put it that way. It was a bit too close for my liking.
I think we've kind of mentioned it in bits and pieces how there was times where Barrow were played good football against us, but I think overall, I was saying pretty disappointed because I actually did think we were the better team. I know we said this, we actually played good football, and to concede an own goal is a little bit, leaves a bit of a bitter taste in the mouth. Now, don't get me wrong. I think, you 1-0 up, you're always going to leave yourself open to concede a goal and lose points. So I'm not going to say we deserve to get 3 points. I thought, and I'll stick by this, what I said on Facebook, I thought the second half performance of the referee was completely shocking. And we've had some really bad, I'm saying on both teams as well. There's one where I think we handballed it, where it bounced up and he handballed it. We kept possession. I'm like, there's just little things, and I thought I'm all for letting the play go and keep the game moving, but there was quite a few times where you can't let it go. Sometimes you just got to blow, and I know Andy Giblin, he kind of said that he didn't think it was a penalty towards the end. I've only seen it from one angle, and I don't actually see the ball move. I don't see it change direction at any point. It just looks like he gets taken out on the thigh, like comes right across. I don't really see where the ball's been taken there. But, a penalty wasn't given. I thought it was a penalty, but I don't think anybody else is saying it's not. So, but again, relying on penalties to win a game, and coming off the back of a Mansfield game where you're just so fluid, and every time you create an attack, you score. We knew Barrow was going to be hard to play against, but it's a bit disappointing, isn't it? I suppose is where I'm trying to get to.
Yeah,
off the back of that Mansfield game.
I wouldn't say disappointing. Again, I'd go back to frustrating. The fact that we didn't kick on and take that game by the scruff of the neck. I think all the signs were there in the first half. I actually, yes, I agree with you. I thought the ref was poor in the second half, but I thought he actually tried to let the game flow a bit in the first half, a bit more than he did. Now, whether that somebody's got in his ear and he's probably just thought, well, sod you then, I'll blow for everything. I don't know, but yeah, yes, disappointed, but frustrating. I think we were the victims of our own stepping off, letting them build a bit of pressure again at home and get a foothold in the game. And we stood there in the stands last night saying, you get this crowd involved, we're going to panic a little bit, and they did. The crowd temperature and noise went up a little bit. They started believing that they were going to score. And yeah, although it came by a scruffy own goal, it came nevertheless. And then I've gone back to what I've said previously. We give ourselves everything to do then to try and get back in front of in the game. And I don't know. Yeah, just for me, from following on from that Mansfield game, it's just frustrating that you've got the quality on the pitch to go out there and probably do that again to a Barrow team, and we didn't. We stood off and let them get back into it. In my opinion.
Yeah, for me, I actually said in my post that it was my favourite game of the season. It was my favourite performance that we've had this season.
Yeah, we played well.
I was so excited by it. I even said in my post, it was like, when you get jealous about another team plays, well, that's my team. That's my team playing like that. And I was so proud. But yes, we didn't win. But one thing I couldn't understand in the first few minutes, I thought, where are the Barrow players? Because anytime the ball came to like our back four, they were nowhere near us. They were like, I've never seen Toure in as much space in my life. Because normally Toure, they're trying to like press him, so he passes it back to the keeper or something. But they left us alone. And the reason I think they did that is because they thought, well, we can't. They play 3-5-2 or back three, but what they thought, we can't do what Mansfield did and let us just play balls over our wing backs. Our wing backs are going to stay as a back five. So for me, they sat off us in the first half. Everything I saw on their message board indicates that. I just thought they hadn't turned up. I thought they've spent however many days training for this, and this is their best way of trying to win this game. And I thought we were incredible in the first half. I think we're absolutely incredible. We should have been out of sight, but they did get the odd chance. Like we said right in the opening, defensively, no one has it all. We can't be a tremendously fluent attacking team and a rock solid defensive team. Something's got to give. And at the moment, we're possibly turning into what I'd call a counter-attacking team because these runs from Barry and Bolton, they're not from the top of the pitch. They're coming from deep. I think Martin was saying these diagonals that cutting through teams. And yeah, it was I don't know if I just had a great week. I may have had a great week where I'm just thinking like work's been great, family life's been great. That last night I was just having a ball watching that game. Really was. So again, we all see it differently. People on the message board were thinking, we're back to our old ways. For me, I absolutely loved the game. I love what we did.
Like I said, that's what I'm saying. I never came away disappointed last night in the performance. It just so frustrated that we didn't win because we did actually play well. Like Danny's just said, on the ball, we looked really comfortable. Both keepers had great games as well, by the way. They both made some really, really good stops. And it could have gone either way, but I think that's just the general feeling. But when you're reading things on the Facebook forum and on obviously the main forum, I think you can misinterpret comments from Salford fans where they're like, "Oh, we're back to our old ways." I don't know whether it's more, I don't know, tongue in cheek, but they do actually need to sit back and probably look at that performance. We were unlucky last night. We did play well, but yeah, just frustrating that we couldn't just kick on more than anything.
There was I can't remember what minute it was, but a play stands out. The save that Cairns made, it was kind of across him and behind, and he's just gone with his left hand, and he's managed to sort of get it away. And I think again, he's played one us since he's been here. He's won us some points on his own, and I think just kind of going off the comments and what's on Facebook and on forums and things like that, I suppose, just to play devil's advocate, and I'm not necessarily saying this is my opinion. I think why people say those things is because, it's all right, as you two have said, we actually played really well and things, and there'd be some fans going, yeah, and we didn't win. Why did we get the second goal? Why are we not finishing those teams? If we're playing well, why are we not finishing those teams? So I'm only saying that and throwing it in there because I know that if we didn't, somebody would go, oh, you're only saying that we played well and stuff. So I'm trying to throw that as an extra thought. But I think the most important thing, and like I say, come back to the point right at the beginning of the pod, we were saying that 1st of March, we're here, we've got the first game on the 4th. This is the crunch time of the season. This is where it's seriously, you've got to be on it now. You're gonna drop points, but you can't afford now to be dropping too many. And I think we got 8 in February in 6 games. We've got 5 in March, and I think we need to get more than 8 out the games to stay in those playoffs, because there's teams around us that have got games in hand. Now, without looking at your Bradford, Mansfield, we've got games in hand around us. Are they playing 6, 7 games in March? Is it a busier fixture list for them? Are they going to drop points along the way? Possibly. Let's go into March fixtures then, and I think the first 2 games, Newport home, Crewe away. I don't care what anybody says. Newport 18th, Crewe 17th. We need to be taking, looking at the fixture we've got coming in the back of that, we need to be taking maximum points out of them.
There's one more thing on that, Martin. They both play 3-5-2, both of them. It's a foregone conclusion. They're going to get whitewashed. It's happening.
Happy days and 4-0s, 5-2s, whatever. Happy days. I'm just going to run through the fixtures. So we've got Newport, Crewe. 18th, we've got Doncaster at home. They're currently 13th. Now, from what I've seen with Doncaster, very hit and miss. They can get beat by bottom at table and they can beat the top at table. They are really one of those teams. So, but looking forward to it. And then 2 massive games, Stevenage away and then Stockport away. And I think I'd like to take out those last 2 games if we can get 4 points. Do you know what? I'd probably take draws. I would take draws on the fact that Stockport, Stevenage are a little bit ahead of us, but Stockport don't go away from us. We kind of, stay on a level playing field. But we've got to maximise our points in other games to maybe get closer to them. But
and that's why I said earlier, I think March is a big month, because you look at those games, and knowing Salford the way I do, will probably be behind the 8 ball after 2 or 3 of them games and have a lot of pressure on us going into that Stevenage and Stockport games. So I hope not, but I think this month is a big month. If we have any aspirations of finishing in the playoffs, March needs to be a good month for us. I think personally, there's some good games there and winnable games. Even the Stevenage and Stockport game, like you just said there, if we can pick up a win and a draw out of them, it puts us right back in contention, I think, if the beginning of the month goes the way we want it to. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a big month for me. A bit of a nervy one, but a big month.
You can see what will happen. We'll take 4 points from Stevenage and Stockport, and then we'll probably lose 1 or 2 games in the other ones where you go, right, we've just took 4 points from teams around us and we can't beat 17th or 18th.
Yeah.
And if we did that, look at where we'd be. I mean, I know you can look at the season like that overall and go, well, how did we, get beat by them in 20th? And that's the way the season goes, and anybody can beat anybody on the day. But I just hope if we keep playing our performances the way we are, I think, again, come end of March, we'll be sitting here going, we're still in the playoffs, another month and a half to go, and before you know it, at the end of the season, we'll be laughing or crying. So, 15 points, chaps, up for grabs. What do you think what's an ideal target for us? I know if Gav was on here, he'd be going 15 points. But realistically, what do you feel?
I mean,
go on, Danny. You can't sit on the fence again this time. Come on, out on your sleeve.
Me at all. Okay, I'm not going to commit to a point. I'm just not going to do it, because all I can say is we start in March with real confidence that I can feel. I can feel it. That wasn't the case start February. So that I think it could be a totally different situation when we're looking in 3 to 5 games time. I just see us. Yes, I know things can go wrong, injuries can happen, but we're confident. That's we're confident and we're well coached. I mean, that for me is a winning formula, and we're playing 2 potentially poor teams with a formation we've shown in the last 2 we can exploit really easily. So that for me, that's 6 points, and I'm never overconfident normally, but I just feel absolutely in the clouds at the minute, totally in the clouds. Question
then, to put it a different way, then, do you think that the first 2 games are vital to get? Again, just come back to, we played really well against Barrow, but we didn't get the results. I think it's now we're in a position where it's going to be in a place where we need to be playing well. That's a given, and we do need to pick up results, because we need 3 points. We need to maximise as many points as we can. Let's just play one way. If we get beat in the first 2 games, do we see the confidence going into maybe the stronger games? Do we think that then we're going to end up having a bad month based on the first 2 games? Flip it around, win the first 2 games. We're playing well, win the first 2 games. Confidence is what wins your games as well. If you're playing well, that's one thing, but if you've got confidence, you've got every chance. And I think that's why I think the first 2 games of March are probably just as important as Stevenage and Stockport. Forget about the positions, because it will tell you a lot about their mentality going into the games later on in March.
And that's where I said March is a big month, because you lose the first 2 games in that month. Is it the end of the world? Probably not, if you then go on to win the next 3. But like Danny mentioned earlier, at the minute, you can feel a little bit of confidence within the team, the way they're playing and the way that it's kind of gelling in an attacking sense. For me, backroom staff, Neil Wood and his backroom staff have got to be looking at this and going, we need to kick on. We need to have a good start to that month, because we need to keep that feeling going. Like I said, the lads knew at the end of the Barrow game yesterday that they didn't play bad. They did everything they could. It was a good game. Frustrating, like I've said earlier, but they knew that they'd played well enough to probably win it. Just maybe wasn't clinical enough in front of goal. So there's 2 answers to it, Martin. Like I said, you could lose Newport and Crewe and still have a good March, but for confidence and to put a bit of pressure on those chasing teams around you, because let's have it right, like we said earlier, we're probably looking over our shoulder a little bit now. So you win those 2 games, and the others maybe lose a couple around you. You're back in that zone of, right, come on, who's above us now? Can we chip away at 6th, 5th, 4th maybe? So I'm excited by March. I don't want to be sat here at the end of March going, oh, well, that was a bit of a damp squid. You know what I mean? And us be 10th or something. For me, like I said, this is probably our most important next few games. I think March is a big month for us.
I think it is exciting because to go to a little bit more of an extreme, and before I get abused by Salford fans for going over the top, but football's a funny old game. We could also win all our games in March, and we could be sat in third. And it really is like we could be sitting in a really good position, like you say, Rousey. You can lose the first 2 games, but still have a good March. I think that just then puts you on the back foot a little bit, where you want to be going to these games on the front foot. You want to be in the playoffs when you're going into that game, rather than being out of the playoffs, chasing the spot, chasing the points where the pressure's more on, and your confidence is taking a knock. So I think, and I'm sure Neil was going to say the same. We're not looking at March overall for us. We've got to win the next game, and then we've got to win the next game, and then we've got to win the next game. And I know I ask, what points are we going to get? Just for a bit of a laugh. But like Danny said, and I can see why he doesn't want to give points, because you could get 15 points, you could get 0 points, and I think you've just got to look at the next game and just keep building.
And if we're doing that and looking at that next game, no, go on. I'm just saying, if you're doing that game by game, Newport, we've got to win then. It's got to be 3 points. It's got to be a good start, hasn't it?
3 points, I'll do.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry, Danny, I cut in front of you then.
No, not at all. I just thought he had a bit of a slant to go in. It's just, I don't think in the next few games that the teams are going to play are going to allow us to rip them apart with our wide men. It's not going to happen for game after game. It can't happen like that. Football's, again, even if they play 3-5-2 on, but it's a bit tongue in cheek saying, "Oh, it's 3-5-2. They might as well not turn up. We're going to kill them." It's not going to happen. But I do think we need to have something else apart from maybe what's spreading it about to our wide men, with having Hendry doing a bit of neat stuff in the middle. And the last thing I want to say is this, and it's more of a question than a statement, is do you think, bearing in mind that Galbraith has been out of the starting lineup for 2 games, as is McElhenney, as is Smith, this late in the season, does our last 2 performances complicate what our best team is? Because I think it does.
Yeah, I would agree with you, because I think up to McElhenney being out of the team, and we spoke, I know Martin mentioned earlier about potential players of the season. I think he's been one of them for us. So yeah, I do. Yeah, I think it does complicate things. But I think the way the last 2 games have gone, I don't think that will change the starting lineup. Certainly for those next 2 games, I don't think.
I think Neil Wood will call it a good headache to have, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
Where it wasn't so long ago we had, and no disrespect, we had, I think, at least 2 of the sort of development lads sat in there, and you knew they was never going to get played, just filling the seat, and we was looking like, and again, nothing against Burko. I actually think he's given the chance, he could become a decent player. But there was a time where our bench was kind of Burko. Again, no disrespect to him. Two other lads are on there. Again, no disrespect to him. It's not their fault, and actually might be really good. But it's not a strong bench. Whereas now, I don't even think I could tell you, with all the players that we've got now that are fit. I'd be struggling to pick 11, because they've all, when they've played, done enough.
They all have something to offer,
play.
don't they? Every player has something to offer now, I think, coming off the bench.
And actually, without going through all the teams and knowing all the teams inside out, I'm very comfortable and confident that we've probably got one of the best benches in the league in terms of, just when teams are getting tired, we'll throw on McElhenney, we'll throw on Galbraith. I mean, just top players, bit of height, throw on Smith, ex-championship player. We've got these players on the bench, and they can't fit in the team because Louis Barry's come in, and now he's starting to show actually some of the Salford fans what he's about. He's dangerous. Bolton, when you keep him high up the pitch, is so much better. Don't put him in the right back position. Just keep with McLaughlin or Lowe. It is where it is. I know it's, again, the rhyme about that right back position, but keep Bolton high, because when he does play high, it causes problems. And then you've got that mixture of Lund and Watt, which at the moment you've got to keep them two on the pitch because they're in form. Most of them are in form. So good headache to have. Rousey, just to finish on something, you wanted to mention about Bucks Bar, didn't you, on behalf?
Yeah.
Not on behalf of the club, because they've not asked us to do it, but just something that has been quite an important thing for some of the fans.
I think it was mentioned in the one. I'm not part of it, but the Souls of Salford fans meetings that they have. I think it was put to the club that obviously. I think Bucks Bar goes to waste a little bit at some of these games, especially pre-kickoff. I think if you remember, was it a season or two ago they trialled it where they opened it pre-kickoff to all the fans, and then what they did at about 1:45 is they closed it, or one part of it, let the fans filter out and go to their seat, and then let everybody back in. So they're going to redo that, which I think is a really, really good idea. I think the club have listened, so fair play to them. Because certainly those in the West Stand, when the weather's a bit crap, they've got to stand outside under gazebos, and it's not good. So I think it will help fan experience. I think that's good. So just a bit of a thumbs up to the club, really. Like I said, so for those that want a drink in a nice warm bar and watch a bit of the footy, Bucks Bar's open pre-kickoff from Saturday. I don't know whether it's a permanent thing or the retrialing it. But for me, it's a step in the right direction anyway. So yeah, fair play to them.
Yeah, any positive move from the club's always welcomed by the fans, isn't it? I think there's still lots more, I'm sure, that they're working on. Don't get me wrong, for all the times that we've all moaned over the last couple of seasons about what the club are doing for fan engagement and things like that. Don't get me wrong. I know there's a lot of work going on in the background. I think it's not just as easy as clicking fingers or something happening overnight. There's things that has to happen. But look, we're still a club growing, and as long as we're moving in the right direction, then that's all we can ask for. And just stay on board. Let's just my thing. What I'd put up to fans is just. I'd like to see what we'd like to see from the club is, bring a mate or something like that and get more of the fans to engage with. I think when we've done the last couple of games where it's been £1 to come in or whatever it was all driven by the club on social media. But if you can involve the fans somewhat way, call it bring a mate.
I think that's a good shout, that actually, Martin. I think that is a very good idea, the bring a mate, because it allows the older generation to maybe get someone involved, whereas I think the cheaper tickets, it's more aligned to dads and lads or dads and girls. Let's have it right in the 21st century. But you know what I mean? I think it's more aligned to parents bringing the kids or bringing the family, whereas bring a mate. I think that is a good shout. So yeah, if anyone from the club is listening, I think that's a good idea.
You'd get more people, you get more fans talking about it rather than the club just pushing it. I think Danny, Rousey, you'd play might just say it in a conversation. Some fans come again on Saturday. It's only £1. They're doing it. You're actually talking about it rather than kind of going, have you seen what the club are doing? They're doing it. Do you know what I mean? I think it's more of a conversation.
Even if they just offer it to season ticket holders, that offer for a short period. You know what I mean? There's you're not opening it out to everybody, or maybe look, with every full ticket price, then you get a bring a mate price. But I think they could trial that with season ticket holders easily, very, very easily, I think.
I know the club have got to be careful when, for season ticket holders where you've made an investment, early doors to support your club. They can only do these initiatives so many times a season before then it starts affecting the people who've got season tickets. But for me, I would really like to see now. I mean, I think we've got about 5 or 6 home games left. let's just get bums on seats. Let's just
I
we
would
talk
agree
about
with
a
you.
fortress. Let's just I don't care how. Let's just get it filled so there's an atmosphere. So and get behind the boys, because we need to win every home game at least minimum.
Yeah.
You know, or best we can. But do that with just a massive crowd. Just get everybody down, make it buzzing, and then actually at the end of the season go, that was mega. But so
good shout. Good shout. Let's see if we're heard.
I might tag one or two people in, or I might just forward it to somebody. Go, oh, did we mention this? Forward it to like 1 hour and 1 minute, and listen to what we were saying. What are
you going on about? They let
hello,
everyone from the club listens to it all. Anyway, Martin, don't be saying forward it to 1 hour, 1 minute. They listen to it all.
No, I'm just on about the person in charge for the
right,
fan engagement. All our listeners listen to it from minute 1 to the 5th minute. I mean, end.
It's definitely not just us listening to it 60 odd times each in a week, is it?
No. Spotify still an area of growth, shall we say? But yes, people are listening. It's not as much as YouTube, but I think maybe we're trying to convert people from YouTube up to Spotify. But anyway, guys, I think we'll wrap it there. We are about an hour, which is good, or less than that, which is good. That's because Gav's not ranting and raving. No. Guys, thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it as always. And until next time, pod fans, we'll see you soon. See you Saturday. Big up the Annies. Cheers, chaps.
See you later.
Bye now.